I decided to come back to making this fun historical videos about the neighborhoods and parts of town that I particularly like, and today I'm in Twin Lakes, so let's see how this goes. I got acquainted with this community about 5 or 6 years ago when I was selling land over here, and I immediately thought that it's such an interesting, such a weird, such a unique place that not a lot of people know about. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Oleg Korolov. I'm a real estate broker and founder of a boutique company called Dom Real Estate Group. I sell real estate here in Los Angeles. I also like to talk about real estate, probably a little too much. Well, at least that's what my wife thinks. Hopefully you don't think that. So yeah, this is a hidden gem that I will share with you. And it's so interesting because I'm already coming across some of the buildings that have been here for many, many, many years. It's kind of fun walking the streets of this place because there's lots of hills. It kind of reminds me of Silver Lakey / Hollywoody type of development. And actually in one of the historical brochures, in one of the historical advertisings, this place was referring to Hollywood as sort of a frame of reference. Did it become Hollywood? Not quite, but it remained eclectic. I don't think we can say about Hollywood, but this place definitely is unique. This place located in Chatsworth, and overall it's just north of 118 freeway, north of Topanga Canyon Boulevard, at the very western edge of Los Angeles County. Somewhat of a unique place that you could see from the freeway, whether you're driving west or east down 118, but not a lot of people stop by here, and that's their loss because this place is pretty cool. So overall, development of the lands over here started at the beginning of 20th century, around 1906, 1908. There were 3 big parcels of land that later on became 2 things, either Twin Lakes Park and Twin Lakes Community or Deer Lake Highlands. One of the first owners of this place was George Hyde, who purchased this place around 1906, one of the parcels of land, one of the 3 parcels that I mentioned. Another parcel was purchased by his friend Newell Assay. But let's concentrate on George Hyde because he's the prominent feature over here. He's the person that kind of stood behind the development of Twin Lakes Park in general. He assembled the team around the beginning of 20th century that later subdivided this place and made it what it kind of is today. George Hyde comes from a very prominent family. He was a well-known lawyer in San Francisco, in Los Angeles area, and he was one of the people that played permanent role in California history overall. So George Hyde's grandfather came to California around 1849. He started living around Mount Shasta, and what we know about him is that he had 5 children. 2 of them were stolen by mountain lions. His family made money in real estate development around San Francisco area. His family made money from gold rush as well. And George Hyde was, as I mentioned, a prominent lawyer, well known here in San Francisco. And at some point in time, he wanted to get into real estate game. One of the partners that George Hyde was working with in the development of this area was Victor Girard of town of Girard, now known as Woodland Hills. Victor Girard already developed a community that was a Turkish type of style community. Back in the day, in roaring 20s, it was very fashionable to have a communities of a particular style. Partnering up with Victor Girard allowed George Hyde to have this knowledge of developing communities, and this community was very much unique. This was claimed to be, and maybe this claim was actually even true, one and only community which was themed Mayan / Aztec. And one of the prominent architects that is well known for working in this style actually worked in this community, and I'm gonna mention him in a second. So overall, this area, and if I'm a little bit out of breath, that's because I'm walking the hills over here. So I'm basically hiking, which is double benefit, I suppose. that I derived from this video, but this particular area was subdivided into 816 parcels. Most of them were smaller, 35 by 75. The area behind me, Deer Lake Highlands, had many more lots, over 2,600 lots. But it just so happened that Twin Lakes and Twin Lakes Park area actually was a little bit more popular, and there were way more houses built here than over there up until recently. Around 2016, Deer Lake Range development finally started to come to fruition, and now when I'm recording this video, which is early 2025, homes over there are selling, and I believe there's around 300 relatively new homes that could be purchased right now, starting from $1.5 million right about dollars. Homes in this community though, Twin Lakes, could be purchased for much less than that. So the values, as you can see, hold very well over here. But let's get back to Twin Lakes. One of the first mentionings of the development and subdivision of this land were in 1928. So Los Angeles Times mentioned that there's this beautiful development just north of Chatsworth that will allow you to purchase home together with improvements and land for under $1,000. You could buy lots over here for as little as $100, $150. However, not all the styles of the homes were allowed to be built over here. If you were to purchase property here in 1920s, the only kind of home you could build over here would have been Mayan or Aztec style. So it was a very unique feature of this community. Overall, Twin Lakes Park consisted of about 1,000 acres. Word on the street was that there was about $750,000, crazy money at that time, were spent building infrastructure over here, bringing water, bringing electricity over here, paving roads and things like that. So there was a crazy amount of development that was supposedly happening here. Speaking of the name Twin Lakes, that name was derived from the fact that there were two lakes right behind me in a canyon. There were two dams built in 1896 just above DeSoto, which still could be seen today. There's no more lake there, but the dam could be seen if you're driving up north on DeSoto. And the other dam was built in 1906. One of the most prominent lakes out of two was called Raymond Lake. And a lot of local residents over here were known to be baptized in that lake. The architect that was hired to develop this community, probably one of the main prominent architects of this style, Robert Stacy Jude. One of his best well-known buildings is the Aztec Hotel in Monrovia on Route 66, right now Foothill Boulevard. Still stands. You can drive by, you can take a look at it, but it's one of the best examples of Mayan and Aztec architecture. Unfortunately, the gate that was leading to Twin Lakes, the observation building, the other buildings that were built here for the community in 1920s, the majority of that unfortunately is gone, but the legacy is still here. So what was the main attraction here in 1927, 1928 when the lots of here started to be sold off individually? Well, the brochure that you'll see in this video, which was made in 1927, was claiming that this community was only 25 miles away from Hollywood, and it could be accessed by paved roads in less than an hour. So you wouldn't have to go to Owens Valley or San Gabriel Mountains or anywhere else to find this bucolic type of setting. You can come here just north of Chatsworth. One of the cool things that was promised over here was that 25% from all of the sales, 25% of earnings from all of the sales were supposed to be going towards improvements over here. I don't know if it was necessarily true, simply because in those years, a lot of real estate advertisings were faulty or just not true. But it was a good intention, and I think for a lot of people it might have been a draw to move here, because obviously the infrastructure was not as developed as it is right now. So in the first couple of years of sales, there were about 300 to 400 lots that were sold. Depression came just a few years later.
1929. The financial house of cards collapses, and the overinflated stock market plunges into a Great Depression.
1929 was a stock market collapse when the economy came to halt and the development in many places stopped. And that's when the community started to change from a resort style community where you could come and spend a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months. It was somewhat of a seasonal community. But starting from 1931, it started to become a place of residence. And in 1931, 15 residents applied for their mail to be delivered over here. So there were 15 people in 1931 that were permanently living here. I mentioned briefly that in those years, in the late 20s, there were a lot of false advertising and there were a lot of misleading advertising. In 1929, several salespeople were arrested for performing real estate activities without license. Actually, now 100 years later, I suppose we're still there, where we're seeing city of Los Angeles cracking down on price gouging. So I suppose that's the full circle type of moment where those real estate agents need oversight. The other funny thing that happened with the sales of Deer Lake Highlands division was in 1929 as well. I think in a Fresno County fair, salesman promised a gift certificate for $715 to those that would win in a lottery. Apparently, it just happened that there was not an individual winner, but 25 people that won. So obviously it was a scam. But that's roaring 20s for you, with the real estate developing in Los Angeles happening left and right, and people just trying to get in the game, get themselves a part of paradise. Can't blame them, really, cannot. By 1970s, there were around 60 homes here in the neighborhood. Devastating fire came in and swept out about 30 of those homes, which later were rebuilt, which goes to show you that people still wanted to reside here because this community is truly special. In 1989, there were just under 100 homes over here, and now in 2025, we're looking at roughly 130, 135 homes that are still located in this area. In early 90s, community plan was developed for Twin Lakes, and the idea was for the governing bodies, Los Angeles County Building Department, to encourage construction over here, but at the same time, not only build homes, but preserve true rural nature of this area. So it's been a success because there was another boom of construction here in early 90s. Let's talk about real estate values over here. Sometimes you could see parcels of land for sale here for $20,000, $30,000, $50,000. Most of the time, those parcels of land are purchased by neighbors just to make sure that nobody else will be starting construction next door. But those lots are relatively difficult to build based on topography and other things. More of a buildable lots could be found here for a little bit higher price, somewhere around $100,000 to $200,000. You could buy lots that might be 7, 8, 10,000 square feet. Those are more buildable, but this community is already thriving, so there's not really an absolute need for more development here, even though it might still be happening. Some of the homes here in the neighborhood en route to be rebuilt A couple of homes here burned down and were sold for around $300,000-$400,000. So those are in the works, and hopefully will be rebuilt in the next year or two. It's a process, it takes time. Some of the smaller homes over here could be purchased for around $600,000. However, that becomes more and more of a rarity to find a nice home or any kind of home here in Los Angeles County for that price range. But here, sometimes you can still find it. Mostly though, over here, the properties that you would be able to purchase would be somewhere around $700,000 to $900,000 range. But towards the end of this range, so towards $900,000, you would be able quite often to purchase home that is a newer home, which was built sometimes in the 90s, which would have several bedrooms, bathrooms, 2,000 square feet or even more. So decent sized home. And for those of you that know Los Angeles County or San Fernando Valley, you know that it's not that easy to find anything in nice and unique areas like this one for under $1 million. This is one of the areas that actually allow you to do that. It's a very cool and interesting community. I mean, it's not Mayan, it's not Aztec anymore, but it still has this cabin feel to it. It still has this rural feel to it. And that was the original idea, sort of escape from hustle and bustle that the city offers you. And this is something that it was supposed to bring to your life. A little bit of serenity and a little bit of calmness, I suppose. And it definitely still has this feel. Of course, this community has its fair share of its difficulties, of its problems, but what community doesn't have that? The infrastructure over here is a little bit older, but I suppose that's the case for a lot of parts of town being serviced by certain electrical companies. Let's just say that. It's nice when the neighbors are passing by and residents are passing by and saying hello and not trying to shoot you with a shotgun. So that's the type of community it is. This is one of the roads that is still not paved, so the rural feel is real. As you can see, it really is real. If you have any more questions about this community, if you would want to see some homes for sale here, let me know. I will be very happy to share more with you, show you some homes. Thanks a lot for watching this video, you guys. I really appreciate that. I hope you will give this video a like, maybe share it with your friends, and let me know if I can help you with your real estate needs here. But I'll see you very, very soon at the new videos. Lots of excitement coming, lots of cool projects, and I'm super psyched to share them with you when the time comes. See ya. And I suppose it wouldn't be right for me not to say thank you to those that helped me research Twin Lakes and this community. And first and foremost, I wanted to say thank you to Chatsworth Historical Society. Incredible organization, and in particular, Anne and Ray Vincent. Ray personally has provided me some historical photos of Twin Lakes, some articles that he has written. So he's been very, very instrumental in me preparing for this video. Also wanted to say thank you to all of the residents of Twin Lakes. Everybody's been very, very nice to me. I've had multiple conversations with people that have shared their experiences, confirming or maybe actually saying that certain things that I thought about Twin Lakes were not true. So residents of this community are one of the best parts of this community. And hopefully you guys would like this type of format. Let me know in the comments down below. And I'll be making many more videos of this nature in the future if you guys like it.